Hi, it's December 6th, 2012, and we're about a week out from the end of this year's NaNoWriMo Challenge. For those of you who maybe don't know, because maybe you've never heard of it before or tried it before, NaNoWriMo is a short way of saying National Novel Writing Month, and it happens every year in November. The goal is 30 days, 50,000 words. And it's really kind of a cool challenge to do because it really can help you learn some lessons as a writer. And I didn't do it this year. I had a lot of stuff going on, and I really wasn't able to get myself in gear to do Nano this year. But I have done it in the past, and I thought I would kind of pop on today and share some of the lessons that I've learned as a writer from doing NaNoWriMo in the past. So the number one thing I want everyone to really kind of realize, if you've never done NaNoWriMo before, 50,000 words in a month sounds really scary, but it's actually not. 50,000 words divided by 30 days is approximately 1,700 words a day. And that would actually give you some words to spare. But, you have to take some things into account when you're doing NaNoWriMo. Number one thing that I learned when I did it in the past is that you have to tell your inner editor to shut up. Tell them to go in the closet, lock them in the bedroom of your brain, whatever works. The problem that I have always had in the past when I'm writing, when I sit down to write something, I always feel like I have to go back and reread everything that I wrote maybe the day before, the week before, the last time I had a really productive writing session. There have even been times, like if I've had to kind of go on like writer's hiatus, where I've maybe not written for a couple of months, and then I feel like I have to go back and completely reread everything in my story from beginning to where I left off, either because I can't really remember what I did, or I feel like I need to go back and revisit things. And what ends up happening when you do that, or is when I do that, is my inner editor wants to fix everything right then on the spot, and the problem then becomes that I don't get anything done. I don't get any new writing done. So by doing NaNoWriMo, the number one rule is you just have to tell that editor to go away and leave you alone for a month. The other piece of it is that you also have an inner critic, and that's that little voice that tells you this isn't really working, that doesn't sound good, no one's going to like that, it doesn't make sense. And that all may be true about what you're writing, but during NaNoWriMo, you need to also tell your inner critic to be quiet and go away. Because the point of NaNoWriMo is just to sit down and write. And it doesn't matter if it's crappy, and it doesn't matter if it's awesome. The idea is to take your idea for a story and put it down on paper, on your laptop, your desktop, your typewriter, if you still use typewriters, whatever it is that you write with. The basic gist is put your butt in the chair and write. I recently went to a talk by author Maggie Shane, and that was one of her big pieces of advice was put your butt in the chair and write the crap. Just get the ideas out on paper. And once I kind of learned how to do that, how to tell my editor, my inner editor and my inner critic to, go in the back room there and do whatever until I'd let you out, I started becoming so much more productive because I wasn't stopping all the time to fix little things that I can go back and fix later. The other big thing that I learned by doing Nano is setting goals for myself. The goal for NaNoWriMo is to try to write 50,000 words in a month. And like I said at the beginning, that sounds like a very lofty goal, but it is kind of doable, even though you might have Thanksgiving in there, you might have other holidays, Veterans Day weekend, maybe you go away and you aren't going to be able to write that weekend. But goal setting is a really big part of being a writer for me, and I've learned that it's really necessary. So my goal for myself might be, okay, I'm going to write 10,000 words over this long weekend maybe, or I'm going to write 1,500 words every night this week. Or maybe it might be that I'm going to try NaNoWriMo, and I'm going to write 50,000 words in a month. The point is that I set a goal for myself. When you set goals, you then create discipline for yourself. And it's very easy as writers for us to kind of be, locked away in our own little worlds, typing away in our computers or scribbling in our notebooks and not really paying attention to the rest of what's going on in the rest of the planet, and it's very easy to kind of forget that we do need to at some point finish our stories and then let them go, let them, fly out and see what they're going to do. But when you are kind of stuck in your own little world and you don't set a goal for yourself, it's really easy to not really get anything done. So by setting goals for myself, I've learned to manage my time better. I've learned how to be a little bit more of a planner when I write. I tend to start off by the seat of my pants and then sort of see where it takes me. But I've learned to plan a little bit better when I'm writing because I have these goals and I have certain things I want to have happen in my stories, and it's going to take a certain amount of words to get me there. And in addition to the goal setting, there's also the deadline piece of it. And that's another big thing. We're sitting in there, we're writing, and if we don't have a deadline, I mean, some of us who are, if you're unpublished or maybe you've been on hiatus or you haven't been actively querying or, courting editors and agents, it's kind of easy to forget about that whole, this is when I want to finish by thing. When you have an editor, you are given deadlines. We want to have the rough draft or the revisions by this certain date, but it's okay to set those same kinds of deadlines for yourself whether you're published or not. So earlier this year I had set a goal for myself. By the end of April I was going to be completely finished with the first draft of my historical fiction magnum opus, the big 240,000 word piece that I've been working on for the past 18, 19 years or so. Well, I didn't meet my goal because life does get in the way. So I had to set a new deadline, and that's okay. And my deadline kept moving back a little bit. I wouldn't make it ridiculous. I would move it back like a month or so. And you know what? I met it. I met my deadline. Does that mean I was completely done? No, I had to go back and do revisions and edits, but I had a deadline. It gave me a goal as far as a time to be finished. And that's kind of the cool thing about NaNoWriMo is that you start writing on November 1st and you want to be finished by November 30th. 50,000 words, of course, is a good goal. Some people exceed that, some people don't. It's just a matter of figuring out what's going to work for you. So those are the lessons that I've taken away from NaNoWriMo and have applied to my own writing. And I hope that those of you who tried Nano, took similar lessons away. I hope you were successful. And if you've never tried NaNoWriMo in the future, maybe I'll be joining you in next year's NaNoWriMo challenge. So in the meantime, happy writing. And as we get closer to the holiday seasons, I wish everyone a lot of cheer and a lot of happiness and a lot of joy. And enjoy the holidays, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and don't forget to find time somewhere in there to do some writing.